but no such luck, Dryad, of course.
Yeah, I actually really like your win. So well, we're stuck with Lighthouse, but it's also really gonna happen. But you know, the action that happens in your wins when you're able to play other positions is always fun. But here, you're also able to do the same. Like we've seen every single match that we've seen today, none of them has been a mirror match, and that means that teams feel comfortable playing a lot of different heroes, a lot of different compositions. Just like we see Siena right now are going to be on the dive, Fairfield is going to be on the brawl style. And usually it should be a little bit of an advantage here coming for Fairfield, but the real challenge will be taking the high grounds that Siena is going to do really well. So a lot of support that is going to be needed to get the first point.
You already see both of these teams going right at it. Sentry going to be diving in deep with the Winston, not quite able to find too much as Wrench gets the capitalization onto CJ Paul, and now Fairfield takes an early advantage. The knockoff onto Vager. Gonna be launching that May off the pit, and Wrench soon to follow, but it's gonna be Fairfield who's so far maintaining a dominant position on point.
Yeah, they should be able to start gaining some percentage on the clock to really looking really good for them, and also a lot of scouting that has to happen with the composition that we see so far. Fairfield looking pretty good, but they want to be those ultimate abilities. Already 70% for Shatter, an ideal situation for the team to still take control of the point.
Some great aspects. Going to be getting the hack onto the D.Va, so Siena have a little bit of difficulty pushing in because of that Sethri. Capitalized upon is going to be that Winston bubble. Not able to withstand so much damage. CJ Paul trying to throw in some concussion mines, but that Zarya from Wrench can be absorbing all that damage and put it right into their own pocket. As now Adric looking to hold off Siena College, who are trying to lean through this small hallway, but not going to be able to find too much with it as Fairfield starts to wrap around.
Yeah, and once again, once a D.Va loses mech, it's going to be really hard to gain it back. For the side of Siena College, they're hungry to get a few picks, but the Shatter does come through.
And a big pin from Adrian gets frozen up as the nano gets invested onto them. Fairfield still looking to lean into this fight. They're ticking upwards of 50%, but Adrian has to take a little bit of a step back, try to regain themselves, make sure that they don't get a little too hasty here.
Fairfield really knowing their advantages, that EMP is going to be ready to the next fight along with the Graviton Surge ideal situation for them, knowing that they already have 60%. This would push them at least into the 80 that they want to be at. And for Siena College, now looking pretty good. Those support ultimate abilities are going to be ready to try to keep them alive throughout the EMP, but they have to try to avoid it.
Eyes out as great aspects, dropping the EMP, comboed with the grab. It's gonna be CJ Paul dropping the tire. Baits out Mask's sound barrier just to keep the team alive, not finding too much because of that. 3 ultimates used for Fairfield, just 1 for Siena.
And that was a very interesting scenario because the EMP did come through, and the Lucio for the side of Siena College didn't get hacked, yet still they decided not to use that sound barrier. They didn't really have enough time as the kills came through so fast for Fairfield.
The Earth Shadow tries to come through from Sethri, not quite able to land the connection as needed. Now Siena going to be trying to build their way in with the Blizzard, and we're starting to get some kills. Fairfield getting routed from the point. Looks like a little bit of a chase coming through from Siena, but they're not going to get too far away from the objective.
But so many ultimate abilities that they were just used for the side of Siena College. They have absolutely nothing going on for them coming into the next fight. And Fairfield does have the Shatter, does have that Death Blossom. Is a Death Blossom drops from the high ground. They could get a few picks, and that's all they need to win here.
We see now Fairfield lining up with the WLK, trying to get that long-range damage. Not the best, the most excellent spot for the Reaper to be in, but they're trying to make some sort of advantage on it. And Sethri just taking some continual damage from the peppering. WLK able to find the purchase there. Gets frozen out, mid-teleport taken down, and Fairfield, so far, managing to come out just a little bit ahead in terms of manpower, forcing CJ Paul off the point. Has the tire though, gotta be throwing it into Zarya. Mitigates a lot of that, the entirety of the tire. Quick cleanup with great aspects. Ensure that Fairfield gonna have this point tick down to overtime. The hack onto the Reinhardt ensures he will touch, but without a shield, nothing can do but swing. Does take down the Lucio, but Mask certainly not needed by their team anymore as overtime does tick down. It's gonna be WLK throwing in the Death Blossom just to ensure that those last minute respawns can't be too effective now, as the objective does get secured. Fairfield gets their first point.
Ultimate economy for the side of Fairfield looking good from beginning to end. And it was only when Siena had a bunch of ultimates to use that they were really having an advantage. And when you use so many ultimate at once, it's just not going to be beneficial in the long run, because even if you take control of the point, you know Fairfield's going to be coming next round and they're going to take the advantage. So for now, a little bit of a small advantage that we see from the side of Fairfield. And once again, it was just all thanks to that composition that they decided to play, that brawl that's able to build those ultimates so fast. They're able to get really close to Siena and make them really, really uncomfortable when there's so much damage being put and the shields keep breaking. There is not much value you can get there. You can't really take space. So for Siena, this is a really good step, though. They're going to be into that Arisa, and also having the Roadhog is going to help them out create a little bit more space and also protect themselves.
Fairfield gonna have to keep their eyes in the sky as they're gonna have to deal with Vagar and CJ Paul on 2 of the flying heroes. We see CJ Paul trying to throw in some rockets. Not quite able to get as much value as they might like. Concussive Blast coming out, trying to knock around Adric into the pit, but Adric already pushing ahead, going into the back line, just charging into Siena's entire team, really, as now Fairfield so far doing a good job of maintaining some sort of point presence. Siena has a few members able to contest, but not for long. It will be cleaned up and flipped over to Fairfield.
And they're forced to go back and try to regroup as soon as possible if they don't want to get taken down. Sentry trying to put some damage, but gets left not really being able to do much as so far. And Fairfield does have that Shatter again.
Adric gonna be looking to line it up. Not a lot to mitigate the Earth Shatter, save the Arisa barrier. We do see waiting for the placement to come through. Adric goes in for the Earth Shatter, gets a couple, but gets taken down by their own accord. Ace soon to follow. Now the Rocket Barrage from CJ Paul. That's only one, and it's gonna be the Ana Masks. Quick look to the sky, take down that Pharah. As now Siena has a little bit of an opening here, but they need to be concise about it. Setri on this hog gets booped in onto the pit. Not quite seeing masks there, not responding as they needed to. Fairfield might have just been claimed back a little bit by this, and it's gonna certainly buy them enough time to get the respawns in without having to worry about that constant one-shot potential from the hog. We see Fairfield now continuing to fight this one out, and most of Siena's trying to take to the skies, but it's not finding anything, Dryad.
Yeah, the longer this fight goes, the better the Fairfield's looking in that ultimate economy. The Gravity Surge is going to be ready along with that EMP. Now they're just cleaning it up and they're ready for next fight.
We are seeing, however, Siena's taking a long time to get disengaged. We hear gunshots firing, echo shots all over the place. Great aspects. Gotta be sinking into the Pharah. Has to be careful. Does take a few shots, and with that, Siena College certainly has a little bit of an opening. CJ Paul working towards building that second rocket barrage. Fairfield, however, has a lot of ultimates in their pockets to mitigate the Siena push.
And everything from Siena College can be countered with the EMP that's going to come through.
We do see the sound barrier coming out. Pusak gonna be trying to drop it, keep their team alive, finding some success. Great aspects, holding on to the EMP. The Earth Shatter comes down, and Fairfield now receives a little bit of the boost they needed as Masks gonna be throwing in the sound barrier of their own. Death Blossom coming out from WLK. This has just been one long fight that's going, and we're now just hitting 99, Dryad.
Yeah, and it seems like it's going to be too late for Siena to try to do anything. Almost the hole gets taken down immediately, and the AMP also comes through. That's just the last thing that they need for the side of Siena College.
Yeah, the EMP gonna be the final nail in the coffin. Fairfield mitigating a lot of the abilities of this team. It's gonna be the Wrecking Ball and the Lucio on point, but they can only do so much, especially with great aspects on that Sombra. But as I say, that just gets bowling balled through Setri. Trying to strike back just a little bit, but there's only so much one tank player can do.
Yeah, everyone always tries to touch at the end, but when the majority is already in point for the side of the defense, this is just going to look really good. That's exactly what we just saw from Fairfield. Now they're 1-0, looking really good so far in Ilias.
Yeah, absolutely. Fairfield just dominated, especially that fight on Wealth. They gave no quarter to their opponents. Just absolutely pushed ahead and cleaned up the field. Just they allowed those fights to go on for so long because they knew that it worked exactly in their favor, Dryad.
Yeah, definitely. And the biggest mistake for Siena College is not really knowing how to counter the brawl style composition that we saw for the side of Fairfield, where you don't want to get the closure that Fairfield is trying to look for over and over again, because heroes like we saw Sombra, we saw Reaper, that Reinhardt also saw you need to be really close to your enemy to get any value, to get any percentage for your ultimate abilities. And Siena College was getting really close to them without even getting any value out of this. This just enable Fairfield to take the advantage over and over again. So if we're going to other map, especially when we're going into Numbani, I just want to see a different composition and more of a counter style from the side of Siena.
Now, we'll see if Siena can perhaps adapt some of their play, but so far Fairfield just looked dominant there, and that kind of allows them to have this mentality of aggression. You know, we can kind of run the show a little bit here. So Siena really needs to put the reins on if they don't just want to get absolutely clobbered by their opponents.
And this is why I always like seeing a brawl style composition being played, just because it really shows how confident the team is in each other, because you really depend on the tanks creating the space necessary and also the DPS putting the damage through, for example, the Reaper. And it's just a lot of work together that doesn't really happen with other compositions where you have to play a little bit slower, for example, Dive, where you have to have the scouting happen, have the scouting phase happen, and then you go into really diving into the targets that you want. So it takes a little bit longer, but for Brawl, you're just going, you're getting the kills, and you regroup and you go again.
And we will be going again now as we look towards our second map. I'm hearing the sounds, the music of Numbani, but we are not quite ready getting the teams. Just that opportunity to get connected, get settled in. Do you think we see a lot of change-ups from the compositions as we look ahead, Dryad?
I think it's definitely one of the possibilities, but for Fairfield, I wouldn't really see a need into changing it unless they have those specific composition depending on the maps that we play. And we saw before when teams were playing that Sigma a lot just because it benefits the high ground so much. But from what they're hinting at us so far, we might just be seeing that Reinhardt Zarya being played from the side of Fairfield, and for Siena, that are going to be maybe making a few changes since you're attacking. Maybe that Reinhardt diva will come through. This is one of the metas that we saw the least this year, because you usually see a lot of the Ryan Zarya, or you see the Winston diva, the Wrecking Ball diva. But this combo is more of a hybrid that it's very specific and only works in very specific scenarios. And for Siena, this might be one of them.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the concept here for Siena is to use that diva to kind of finish off anybody. CJ Paul might get dangerously low with that Ashe. Diva can be a great finisher if she catches someone out, as well as just providing a lot of heal, which I'm sure Nourishment will greatly appreciate. However, as we look towards Siena coming out of the spawn gates, CJ Paul immediately trying to take to WLK, not able to find too much damage, however, missing a few of those shots while WLK continues to rain with that automatic fire from on high. As now, Fairfield continues to notice the rotation coming through from Siena. Siena not perhaps making the quickest rotation, but we do see them eventually make it up towards that high ground area, as now we are going to be seeing them push up and over, at least attempting to go over. Sethri taken out of the Diva mech. That's going to mitigate or prevent a lot of that damage mitigation from coming through. Sethri, knowing that their team not going to have that tank, effectively has to back out, especially with Ace going down. Fairfield already getting the Earth Shatter, dropping it in. And with this, Fairfield looking very clean on Numbani.
So far, looking really good for the side of Fairfield on the defense, and we're at a point where I don't think the diva is going to work for the side of Siena. I want to see something else. The diva is going to get counter, and that's exactly what we happen now. We're going to be seeing the Zarya being played. I believe they decided to go diva just to try to find where the Sombra was, if Fairfield was going to play one, but once they realized that the WK was actually going to be on the Soldier and Great Aspect was going to be on the Symmetra, there was not really need to having a diva. So this is a better opportunity for them. They just need to make sure they get some initial picks.
Fairfield will have that barrier online, so Siena might have to keep eyes peeled just a little bit here. They're going to be throwing in the Valkyrie, but the Valkyrie's not going to mean much when Zodiac able to land a big bio nade. Nourishment going to be throwing out the nano boost. And it's going to be Ace swinging in heavy, trying to get the damage, prevent their healers from dropping. It's a big pin coming in from Adric that doesn't land themselves too much, but lands them in an uncomfortable corner. And now Siena College to start to get some point progress up, ticking towards that second.
The immediate value of playing that brawl style competition. They play really aggressive. They just walk into Fairfield, and Fairfield was definitely not prepared for this. But now the next fight is going to be a little bit more challenging, knowing that the Nano Force Zodiac Killer is going to be ready. Wrench is going to be having that Graviton Surge, and if they can push forward here before the payload moves into the corner, that would give the defense a really, really good spot. And it seems like Siena is going to be in the Bastion, actually.
We are going to be seeing CJ Paul get all tanked up right onto the cart, ready to deal out a bunch of damage. You see Adric having to play very carefully here, as they are going to be placed right in front of that Bastion, and it's actually going to be the opposing Reinhardt who takes advantage of that misplacement. Swings in just a little bit heavy, and now we're going to be Siena continue to ride this cart in the most literal sense towards that second.
Bastion just pushing forward on the payload, looking pretty comfortable. No need to keep moving. As long as the payload keeps moving, he will be doing so as well. But the Graviton has to still be used. And now there's a bigger challenge to try to counter the Bastion. A little bit more dive style has to come through. And Great Aspect just because that will be going to the Sombra again.
A worthy option here, given that Fairfield just has to get one hack on the Bastion to really remove a lot of that threat. But they have to get in position first, and Fairfield's not even going to try to contest that second point capture. They will, however, send the Zarya in a little post facto, as now the sound barrier coming in from Masks, trying to keep their team alive. This is a really weird fight timing coming in from Fairfield, but they do get the hack onto the Bastion.
A little bit of unexpected pick, definitely, and Fairfield is trying to still figure out how they want to adapt to it. Wrench is going to be also on the D.Va. They need to have that dive style in the last fight territory if it needs to happen. Adric has to go into the Winston again, and the Bastion is just unstoppable right now.
Certainly is, especially as that tank configuration comes out. WOK gonna be getting the nano boost, throwing in the attack visor as well. Takes down CJ Paul, has to back out, try to avoid the giant shield from the Reinhardt, and the rest of Siena trying to push up with them. We now see the Gravitic Flux coming up from Sethri, who takes down 2 with the mere lift. Now Zodiac Killer and Masks not able to heal their team. It's all going to be onto that Biotic Field coming in from Soldier, as well as just damage mitigation. The Earth Shatter tries to come through, but Adric, but it's counter-shattered by Ace. Now it looks like Siena College are on a straight ticket to winning. Numbani, they just need to keep managing these spawns. Veigar has the Death Blossom online, will use it just for a little bit of that point clearance, especially once the D.Va Matrix is removed from the fight. And be pushing up towards that Zodiac Killer. We do hear Ace, or CJ Paul rather, in the backlines, set up top, ready to just set up a shooting gallery. Nobody from the side of Fairfield can contest this. This is so brutal, Dryad.
There's so much action going on, and also the Bastion and the Hag are not looking really good for the side of Fairfield. They keep coming back, trying to delay this to happen a little bit longer, but it seems like it's just not going to be possible. Last opportunity for them, but there's so much damage once again coming through. The Lucio also trying to make it.
Lucio tries to make it, but you can't stop the Death Blossom as it comes through. Veigar takes down a 3. It's now just going to be the tanks for Fairfield. That D.Va, though, going to buy a bit of time as the D-Mech and Baby D.Va form will buy just a momentary respite, as now Great Aspects able to tag in, gets taken down almost immediately, though. It's going to be WLK now coming in on the Mei, and the stall from Fairfield has been incredible. They are using these heroes to maximum effect. WLK finally able to be cleaned up, and with that, Siena College earns it in just under 3.
And talking about unexpected, just once again, that Bastion was just something that Fairfield definitely didn't see coming. Now they want to have more time than Siena did, especially on the attack. And if they're going to be playing this brawl style, they also need to prepare for the Bastion being played on defense, ideally. When we see Bastions on attack, they usually don't work. And I expected after WOK was able to take down the Bastion to see something else coming from this team, but they decided to commit to the Sierra. They actually got a lot of value out of it. Very, very unexpected, but one of the things that we see happening here in Collegiate, and it just puts another challenge for Fairfield to face if they want to win this match.
Yeah, I mean, Fairfield definitely kind of got stopped in their tracks by the Bastion. I don't want that to sound too harsh, but it just looks like they weren't able to cope with the Bastion. It came out, and then on second point, Fairfield kind of evaluated it, had to withdraw, and by that time they had given up the entire second point. It was only really on that third point where we saw them start to put down a considerable defense that, you know, it really took them a lot longer than it probably should have.
Yeah, and it's just that hybrid composition that wasn't benefiting them at the end, because they wanted to counter the Bastion with a dive style composition. So you had the D.Va for this, but then you were getting directly countered by the Reapers, so it was a very tough spot. Also, not having the Winston at the end just put them in a lot of pressure. And as we expected, CJ Paul is actually going to be in the Bastion again, but for the defense, it should have a much better positioning. Even though we do see Great Aspects on the Symmetra, it seems like they will be trying to take the high ground as well and contest it.
A smart choice here. A lot of teams can get very disoriented by the quick placements that Symmetra can offer, so Fairfield pretty wise to take advantage of this if they're able to get the capitalization. Fairfield instantly taking up the teleporter. A big anti-nade comes through from Siena, but also equally matched by a big one from Fairfield. Fairfield, however, coming out a little bit more dominant as pretty much they just explode onto point, take it with one teleport.
And just such a risky play to put the teleporter right in front of the enemy team. But they are able to make it work just because they have that brawl style that this is not something that you see happening so often. If you want to contest the high ground, you usually would go into a full dive style. For them, this wasn't really necessary. They're able to put so much damage done, and now definitely a tougher spot. This is why we now are not going to see the Bastion anymore. CJ Power is going to be on that drunk run, also putting a lot of damage.
WOK getting perhaps a little bit too ahead of themselves, but able to back out and instead takes down Sethri. Now Siena College have to play without their Winston. Ace still going to be on that Reinhardt, so still a little bit of shielding capabilities that can come through. No ultimates to look ahead towards in this fight as this cart now starting to round the bus. Yeah, it looks like Siena taking a while to get regrouped.
Yeah, they will be within a few seconds. I need those ultimate abilities, and it will be that amplification matrix pushing everyone from the side of the defense back.
We do see the immortality field come out from masks right onto Cart, keeping Fairfield alive for the time being. However, not a lot of damage going directly onto Fairfield. The Earth Shadow tries to come out from Adric, lands just onto Ace, who gets hit by an anti-nade. Now Fairfield in a very dominant spot as they continue moving this cart, and they're looking to build up a pretty strong time bank of their own.
Yeah, that was exactly what I was going to say. They want to have more time than the side of Siena did, and they're on their way to do so. Really good that they won this fight here. That means that the recontest will not be happening. And 5 minutes, 57 seconds remaining for third part of this map. Just an ideal situation for them. They've won every single fight so far on the attack. They have the ultimate abilities. They have the Silver Shark. They have those dragons coming from WLK. That should be more than enough to create space and to get a few picks from the back line.
DJ Paul gonna have to play very carefully here on that. Widowmaker can get one shot by WLK as well. Widowmaker has a lot less health nowadays. You see Zephyr trying to go in with the Primal with the Nano on top. Gonna be capitalizing onto masks. Eventually does get the kill, drops the bubble, able to get a lot of clearance. Now Fairfield finally being stopped for the time.
3 kills for this Winston on the side of Siena College, and they're looking pretty good. It just forces everyone from Fairfield all the way back. But one of the best things that they have in their advantage is that they didn't decide to commit to any ultimate abilities. They decided to wait it out. So now they're going to be having 5 of them, almost 6 with a Nano that's about to be ready for Zodiac Killer. This team just needs to poke a little bit more damage, and that should be enough for them to take the advantage to overwhelm Siena College.
You see Fairfield already building up a lot of damage with that Symmetra standard attack. We see great aspects leaning into it and getting 2 kills off the back end. Has that proton barrier up. Only the Earthshatter and Dragons use that fight.
Yeah, only 2 ultimate abilities were used for side of Fairfield, and that was enough to push forward. Now they will be taking the space into the corner, and this is last fight territory for them. For the side of great aspects, we're going to be seeing that proton barrier coming through. That should be enough to protect his team from the damage.
We now see Fairfield dropping that amplification matrix, trying to get some sort of damage. And it looks like Wrench was trying to send out the Diva Bomb from way back, but it didn't quite connect as it needed to. And now Vega are going to be on Dismay, trying to stall out, throws in the Blizzard, can't quite keep themselves alive, especially with Wrench eating it with the defense matrix. As we can see now, Fairfield has quite a bit of time on their hands.
1 more minute than the side of Siena College did, and this is a really, really good performance from them. If you are the side of Siena College, you need to make 1 second the adaptation changes, because Fairfield was already expecting the Bastion, made the changes, and got the picks necessary to force CG Powell out of this hero. Now, if they're going to play a Bastion again, this is something that Fairfield is going to be expecting. And it seems like this is a team that's really good at adapting and countering what the enemy team is playing. So I just wanted to see a little bit of something that we haven't seen before from Siena, because Fairfield just seems unstoppable over and over again.
And of course, we did see that Bastion only once the second point was hit, once they could actually plant themselves on that cart and basically move the Bastion for free. So it will still leave the question of how does Siena go about capturing this first point? So far, it looks like Reaper Ashe is what they're going to be leaning on.
Seems like this is a strategy, and for the side of the defense, they also have a really good strategy, because we're going to be seeing Fairfield with WOK on the hand, and this is one of the heroes that we see over and over again, just because of how strong it is, that one-shot potential benefiting this hero so much, and especially because from what we see in the DPS decides to go to one part of the map, taking control of the high ground on the right side, but for the rest of the team, they will be on the left side, and with the dive style, having the Diva will enable the Diva to go back and forth in case your hands was in trouble. And on top of that, they also have Symmetra with the teleporter, so the defense is just looking way too strong. I'm curious to see how Siena College adapt to this, seeing that especially they have a Roadhog going on.
I like the look from Fairfield. We see a lot of quick positioning that can happen, again, by that Sim. It definitely cause a lot of disorientation for opposing teams. Zephyr taking quite a bit of damage, has to use that breather rather early, gets slept, gets anti-nated, and with that, now Fairfield leaning into these kills. The rest tries to come in for Pusak, but not quite able to connect as you want it to. Now Fairfield University going to be leaning in, trying to get the last kills onto Vager, but they will be able to walk away.
Adric has been so good over and over again into this Reinhardt, always getting a few picks and building his shatter so fast compared to Siena College East, where only 20% is built for that shatter. In the meantime, Fairfield already has a 66 for the side of Adric. So that's where we start seeing the differences in these two compositions. Even when there are a few differences, when there's this mirror heroes being played, one of them will be taking the advantage. And for what we've seen so far is going to be Fairfield University.
Siena gonna be trying to lean in. CJ Paul throwing in some dynamite, buying a bit of space, a bit of damage as well, taking up towards that Bob. But Wrench takes down Sethri and Siena. So far, relying on these double tanks have not proved to be as fruitful as they would want. Fairfield now continuing to lean in with their advantage here. It's gonna be another hold coming through. 30 seconds left.
Yeah, like I mentioned, 30 seconds remaining, and something has to happen for Siena College. Everyone is hungry for pigs. That Reaper trying to stay alive. It seems like he will be able to run away to his team, but a lot of ultimate abilities that Fairfield was able to build will be used now. This is the one last fight territory for them.
We do see Fairfield mitigating so far the jump coming in from Sethri. We do see some point presence trying to make contact from Siena College, but Moira gets swung on by Adric. Adric from behind with the Earth Shatter just connects onto the Mercy. Fusak getting lifted up, driven into the wall. Now Adric receiving a nano boost to keep themselves a little bit more vitalized as well. Swing a little bit heavier as we now see Fairfield continuing to clean the point up to just the Reaper. The Moira, who will now follow the Winston and Tracer, the last ones remaining. The question is, will Siena College be able to make anything happen with this? So far, it looks like CJ Paul not going to be able to, as Adric puts him into the ground with the hammer swing. That's going to be overtime ticking down. No progress made for Siena.
The shatter at the end for Eric, getting that Mercy, was just the best situation that could happen for this team. They were able to capitalize. Once you lose your Mercy, you have absolutely nothing you can do. You're not going to be having enough heals, enough damage coming through for your team, and that's exactly what happened to Siena College. The contest could not happen, and this puts Fairfield in a really good opportunity where they only need one tick on the side of the attack to win, and they have 3 minutes 16 seconds remaining for them. So if they're going to be playing this brawl style again, they have to keep using that teleporter coming through, getting to the high ground, overwhelming Siena College, and that is the way that they have to win.
And we'll see if they're going to be able to succeed at that. Fairfield, a decent amount of time on their time bank to get just one more tick on the board. Certainly an achievable goal if you're asking me. WLK just has to find perhaps that one opening with the Hanzo. There's so many ways that this team can really find that opening, Dryad.
Definitely in for Siena College. They want to hold a defense here, getting that one-shot potential from a lot of the heroes. They're going to be having that Drunkard putting a lot of damage, having that poking happen over and over again, but also just having Ace on this Roadhog, helping the team so much. So there's going to be a lot of damage coming through for the defense. They want to hold it as long as possible. They need to make sure that they're also protecting their support to try to stay alive in the fight for as long as possible.
You see Fairfield lining up, sending WLK onto the high ground to contest anybody who might be up there early on. Any of the DPS can easily get taken down, again, if that headshot comes through. The teleporter comes out again from Fairfield, the Immortality Field. Now they have that possession of the high ground, but Siena not allowing them to really do anything with it, as now the majority of the team is on the low. Immortality Field taken down. WLK able to rain in some arrows, just waiting long enough, and that Hanzo will eventually find the mark. However, it's a little bit of a nap onto the Baptiste, who takes a brief pause, then able to get the healing back onto Sethri, who is taking a walloping. Eventually, Wrench will be closing the kill onto that one. And it's going to be Masks throwing down an Immortality Field. This fight's gone on long enough to get another one of those up. And Fairfield going to be trying to mitigate the tire, finding some success in it. CJ Paul not able to succeed just as they might want. Now, Fairfield just cleaning up the Reinhardt, getting that first tick, and is going to be it. There will be Fairfield achieving its second point in this matchup.
Wrench being definitely one of the highlights for the side of Fairfield. Always getting those final blows that are so important. Like we saw that tire for Junkrat could have been big, but this player made sure that he was able to counter it as soon as possible. Fairfield, as always, looking really strong. They use the same strategies, but Siena has a lot of trouble really knowing how to counter them or to expect them. For the side of Fairfield, they are already preparing ahead and knowing how they need to win the fight. They are always fighting for the win condition, and this is why we're 2-0 right now.
Yeah, I mean, Fairfield definitely looking strong. It seemed like Siena did not quite have an answer to the sim. They would just surrender that high ground, and from it there, Not much you can do when your opponent has a Hanzo who's just raining arrows onto you. Such a brutal spot for Siena to be in, but it is not quite over. There is an opportunity for them to strike back in just a little bit. However, before that happens, we will be taking a quick break, so stick around, folks. And just like that, we are back with our third map of the night. Oh my goodness, it's Zarya! But as now, that should give you a good enough hint that we will be going to Volskaya Industries as our third map here. Fairfield, of course, looking to win this one so they can wrap it up with a nice 3-0.
Yeah, and actually we might be seeing Fairfield playing that Zarya that we were just talking about. So definitely fitting for the map. Is a map that works really well, especially for the composition that Fairfield has been playing, where you have to have the brawl style coming through. But it might get a little bit challenging if Siena tries to take the high ground here. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to bring. But so far, Fairfield has been very, very dominant. So expect to see them doing this once again.
You will see as it's going to be on Siena. Start off on their attack. Vega are going to be taken to the skies with that Echo. Huge opportunities to kind of cause, a split direction of attention onto Fairfield. But already Vega are going to be playing on the ground, just choke, throwing down damage in through the choke. Some great aspects, playing at a little bit of a distance here. An interesting choice considering that Sim can get quite a bit of value if she tucks in close enough to Sethri and Ace. Like Fairfield, not too quick to show their hand just yet. It is going to be the first kill onto Masks, but a lot of Siena College dangerously low. Ace not able to provide Sethri with enough healing. Going to be cleaned up, and because of that, Fairfield now looking to lean in just a little bit here. We do see CJ Paul take down Adric, but looks like Fairfield will recover, will regroup, and have their opportunity to continue defending.
Still a lot of time remaining for Siena College if they want to make a few adaptation changes coming through. And they are playing a very neutral composition with the Reinhardt and also the Sigma. That means they do have a shield protection, but they need to figure out how they want to come through. Very neutral, not to see them on this dive style that benefits this map so much, especially in the attack.
Sethri perhaps getting a little bit too far forward, able to take a few arrows from WLK, build up those dragons, and make Sethri have to retreat just a little bit. Nourishment off the back end of that will be able to build up the nano boost, but there's only so much you can do when your team doesn't quite have that speed to get into the face of Fairfield. We do see Fairfield now trying to lean in, takes down Sethri, who was so close to that Earth Shatter, perhaps a bit too much aggression coming in from Siena, as now they start to suffer more and more losses. The Zarya from Wrench going to be coming in, continuing that burn, really trying to do quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, Wrench doing really, really good so far on the Zarya. Will be having the Carbiton Surge coming into the next fight, but the rest of the team also have their ultimates coming up. It's an ideal situation, but both teams have been saving these ultimates for the last opportunity. We know how they're going to counter each other, but so far for defense, just because of the space they're taking and the precision, they should be coming up on top.
They're looking to lean in with a couple of ults, literally all the ults on the board right now for Fairfield, as they are on Siena. Neither team really wanting to go first when it comes to these ultimate investments, but Fairfield are content with just letting these fights go very slow without a lot of big change up. It's going to be the grab coming out from Wrench, locking everybody down. Siena College is going to be trying to throw in a few ults of their own, but it's WLK's Dragons who really do a lot of the clean-up work. Fairfield University able to keep 2 in their pocket, where Siena still has 3.
One of my favorite combos to see, those dragons along with the Gravity Surge, is always effective when there's absolutely nothing to counter it. And it just seems like Fairfield knew exactly what to do. They still have a few ultimates in their pocket, but it's going to be a little bit more challenging knowing that the duplicate for this Echo is going to come through very early on, along with the Flux. Should be a really good way to initiate this fight.
As we see Siena trying to lean in, but these mini sentries really giving the tanks a problem. Sethri getting slowed down even more, mitigated by the fact that they do not have a Lucio. Sound Barrier comes out, Fairfield using that teleport to get right into the grill of Siena. Now the big swings coming online from Adric, as it looks like Fairfield are going to continue to push ahead and hold. 45 seconds left.
45 seconds remaining, and something has to happen for the side of the attack. If not, we're going to be seeing another full hold happening today here in EGF. And it just might be one of the possibilities, especially when Sethri falls down very early on, not having a main tank is a worst scenario when there's only 30 seconds remaining. Something has to happen. The damage that Vanguard is poking might just not be enough. They have to figure out a way to push forward and to pass the defense for Fairfield University.
A lot of ults, however, if you're a bright side of Siena. And you do see 3 online with Sethri soon to have their Earth Shatter up. The question is, can they use those ults to get to point? Can they make those ults count? If they don't get to point, Fairfield now looking to already get a few kills. Wrench claiming the lives of 2. The Gravitic Flux coming in, locking everybody down. But it will be a few members able to touch we do see that the respawns are going to have to start coming in very quickly from Siena. The Zenyatta able to take down Adric, but the wall just helps to ensure that it's going to be so much more difficult for that damage to come through. Fairfield University will be locking down the first point.
Another full hold happening here in the Volskaya, putting Fairfield University in an ideal situation. They just have to get one pick and win the series. They have been doing so well so far, and they just are really good at taking control of the space that they have. Usually we were talking about how every other team usually tries to hold the high ground and how much it benefits them. But when you have the confidence that Fairfield University has, you know that you can play this brawl style and get a lot of value out of it. Especially Wrench has been doing a really good job with poking damage, with pushing everyone all the way back because the Zarya was charged constantly and no one is able to take her down. She was also protected by Adric. So really, really good job from these tanks as well. Siena College needs to make something happen, and that might just be the Bastion.
Well, the Bastion worked for them exactly once before. We'll see if it comes to fruition once again on Volskaya, but Bastion is a bold strat. You have to basically make sure that he cannot get taken advantage of through a Sombra hack, through some, extensive Diva Matrix, Sigma Kinetic Grasps, things like that. All going to come down to how Siena College can cope with whatever Fairfield throws at them.
Yeah, and once you lose your Bastion, you might have a single rest coming through, and that's about it. That's all the opportunities that you get to try to stay in point, because no one will be able to get that recontest with only one tick that Fairfield University is going to be able to get, and they will be running that brawl style again, because why would they change something that has been working against Siena over and over again? They actually will be using the teleport and taking the high ground here.
And we already see CJ Paul in a very uncomfortable spot, getting sandwiched between a May wall. Siena College already suffering the loss of their DPS, of their support, of their tanks. And now it looks like they're just going to be cleaning up. Fairfield is of the entire rest of the enemy team. Siena College not going to be able to have anybody able to touch in time. Fairfield University will be taking a quick full sky.
A single fight is enough for this university to take advantage and to take the entire series. Another 3-0 that we see today, and it was just an amazing performance from this team. We've seen them before, but they definitely are making the adaptation changes. Last time they weren't looking too strong, but when we saw them, they went 3-1, and it was just a few mistakes that they have been definitely able to correct throughout this week's here at EDF, and it's definitely showing the progress they've made.
And we definitely have been seeing a little bit of progress, if I'm being sincere here, Dryad. But a quick 3-0 for Fairfield, as I mentioned, means that now their, score line is going to go up to 2-4, and Siena is going to be dropping down to 1-4. So a little bit worse for Siena, but there's always that underdog story that seems to lurk in the background. So if you're Siena, definitely something to still kind of keep eyes out for. However, and will be the conclusion of our match from Fairfield versus Siena. Although we're not quite done, before we wrap things up tonight, we will have one final interview from one of the members of Fairfield. So stick around, folks. We'll be back after the break. And welcome back, folks. Not too long of a break as we promised, just a short one, just a little itty bitty break, bite sized break if you prefer. But now we are back with our interview segment, and we are going to be joined by great aspects coming in here from Fairfield. So, great aspects. Congratulations. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Now, you were, of course, the Symmetra player for your team, and I want to get, a read from the mind of the Sim player themselves. Was your team kind of one that built a strategy around Sim, or were you a little bit more like, I'm going to play Sim, you folks figure out how to make it work?
No, we definitely talked about it a lot. Like we knew like going into this match, like we wanted to like have like a very team oriented, like get in there and have a team fight. And we tried to figure out the best way to like get into the back line. And lo and behold, Sim was just there in the hero roster. So we were like, okay, let's do a Sim thing. Okay, TP, let's do this kind of thing.
Okay.
um Also, I mean, in regards to you, it seems like you guys were really really good at adapting countering the Bastion from the side of Siena College. Was this something you were expecting to happen, that they were going to pull out the Bastion and take Numbani to the end? And how was the adaptation changes coming through?
Uh, Definitely wasn't expecting the Bastion initially, but we had practiced this about trying to figure out what the enemy team was playing and counterpick them as much as possible. So that was just something that like came with practice of like, okay, team talking through it with our team, like, okay, what do we think is going to work? How are we going to attack this? What strategy would we want to do? Do we want to do this hero and that hero, or like dive or brawl, something like that? So it was kind of just like a lot of like team coordination of like, what do we think is going to work best in this current situation?
Yeah, you guys definitely figure it out. So, from when we were looking at how you guys been doing so far here in EGF, you had some up and downs. There's definitely being a victory that you are going to be benefited from. So, how has the process been of getting used to your teammates, having that synergy going for you, really figuring out what compositions benefit your team, and now they're in week 6, you're able to get another victory for you. So, how have you noticed that progress happening for you?
Oh yeah. So the first week of the tournament was actually our first week playing together. We're a brand new team, so every week we kind of just get to know each other a little more, practice and really drill home all of the drills that we're doing, and just learn how we play together. And we're really trying to focus on like how we can all like complement each other and everything. So it's a lot of that. It's a lot of this like playing with each other, getting to know each other, and really like starting to build up being a team. So this win is really amazing. We're really, really happy. And Siena was amazing team. They are so great. So we're really happy that we won this game though.
All right. Well, fantastic. Great aspects. Thank you very much for coming into our caster's booth, answering a few of our questions. Before I let you go, I do want to give you the opportunity to, provide any shout outs, friends, family, whoever.
Ooh, shout outs to my team. You carry me all the time. Um, shout outs to my family. They're really supportive. And yeah, I think that's just about it. Thank you so much for casting this game. We really appreciate it. So much fun to watch the VODs back.
Oh, absolutely. Well, hopefully, we're providing a little bit of entertainment when you guys are in your review sessions. But once again, great aspects. Congratulations over your team's victory over Siena College. And we look forward to seeing you in the next few weeks.
Thank you so much.
And with that, Dryad, we are about ready to wrap things up. It has been a little bit of a long day, but some overall some good matches, some matches that were very entertaining to watch. So very excited to see what happens next week. But folks, make sure you join us then. We're sure to bring you more collegiate Overwatch action. But until then, folks, be sure and stay safe, everyone, and take care.
Ettei oo mitään muuta, ei jälkiä, ei muistoja, katkaistu historiaa. Haluun, ettei tarvi katsoa, ei karttoja, ei kuvia tai viestejä unista.